Since I first heard about this cartoon, I tried to avoid it. Just reading what this show is about was enough to make me facepalm, because it was a recipe for disaster. So I did my best to not watch this for 2 years until I got a request to watch it. So I said to myself, it can't be that bad. I mean, there's no way that this is worse than the Problem Solvers or the Brothers Grunt. So I watched the first episode, and all I have to say is, this is the worst show ever! I would rather watch 24 hours of Jersey Shore than watching a single episode of this show. This show is even dumber than Meet the Kardashians. Yes, it's that bad. I watched the first episode of this show a few months ago, and a few days ago I decided to watch 2 more episodes to refresh my memory. Why 2 more instead of just 1 more? We'll get to that later. So let's begin with all of the flaws of this show. The first flaw are the characters. All of them suck. There is absolutely nothing redeeming about them. They are either really annoying, self-centered assholes who think that the world only turns around them, or they have zero personality and are there just to be mistreated by the assholes. So it's basically like an extreme version of Family Guy. So which character is the worst? It's actually a tie between Alan Gregory and his biological father, Richard. Both of them deserve to be taken away and put on an isolated island where there are no people, where there are no animals, just those two and a few plants, so that they can survive. And I already feel sorry for the plants. But anyway, let's go into more details about the main characters. As you can tell, I really dislike Alan Gregory. He is a 7-year-old spoiled brat who sounds like a 40-year-old man, and he doesn't behave like a child his age at all. It's like a grumpy, self-centered director of a company was turned into a 7-year-old kid. He thinks that everything is about him, and he is so annoying that I don't know who can even stand this brat. Next to him, the annoying orange is a fucking aspirin. Yes, he's that bad. Then there is Richard, Alan's biological father, who is just as annoying as his son. He also always has to be the center of attention, and yeah, he's just like Alan, with the exception that he behaves way more childish, actually. Then there is Richard's husband. Yeah, Alan Gregory has 2 dads. The other one is called Jeremy, and he is the scapegoat for almost everything. Everything is his fault, and both Alan and Richard blame him for everything. I'll get more into detail about him in my summary of the first episode. Then there is Julia, I think, who got adopted, and both Alan and Richard make it clear that they don't like her, and they make her feel miserable on every occasion possible. Neither she or Jeremy have much of a personality and are really boring, but this show sucks so much that it makes me feel sorry for both of them. She also seems to have lost all of her emotions, but I can't blame her. If I was forced to be under the same roof with people like Alan or Richard, I would either go insane or kill myself. or both. So yeah, what a lovely family! I totally want to see their daily adventures. Not. So let's start with the episodes. I'll make short summaries of them, except for the first episode. That one is going to be way longer because there are some things that I need to mention in that episode. Yeah, and I'll describe some of the supporting characters while I make the summary of the episode. So the first episode is about Richard getting into financial problems. It's never explained how, and I wouldn't be surprised if he made the whole thing up just to torture his husband. Yes, he now no longer makes enough money, and because of that, he forces Jeremy to get a job, and Alan now has to visit a public school. His adopted daughter already visited the public school, how much I know, or was it even explained? I wouldn't be surprised if it was never explained. Richard makes it quite clear from the start that his adopted daughter is way too insignificant to be homeschooled. So yeah, problem number one. As soon as Richard and Jeremy appear, yeah, you start hating Richard with a burning passion. And the same also goes for Alan. As soon as he appears, 10 seconds is enough. Both of them are so stuck up that it takes only a few seconds that you start hating them. That's really a record. So we're off to a great start. So yeah, Alan loses his marbles when he finds out that he has to go to public school, and he shows everyone that he's a complete ass. We're not even 5 minutes into the episode, and I already want to throw that kid into the sewers. After that, we see Alan lonely in his room as he wonders if the kids will like him at school. So let me get this clear. The writers of this show introduced this character to the viewers as basically the worst person ever, and now they want us to feel sorry for him. I don't know if I should laugh at that or cry. God, this show is such an epic fail. Ugh. So on his first day, he behaves like a complete dick, bosses everyone around, and basically thinks that everybody is his servant or something like that. And after that, he tries to impress the cool kid at the school. That kid is also really stuck up and has no real personality except being a douchebag, and his voice actor, oh my god. He puts zero effort into his job, and you can really tell that he's just reading his text. Oh, and of course, the kids don't like Alan. I wonder why. Anyway, Alan Gregory has to go to the principal's office because he drank wine during lunch, and the principal is an old woman who is voiced by Renee Taylor. If you ever watched The Nanny, she played Fran's mother. Okay, she clearly doesn't fit this role of an elderly woman who is simply bored and doesn't have anything to do. She has no real personality, so it kind of doesn't make us. I don't see the point actually why you would need someone with such a unusual voice, basically rather annoying voice. It can be annoying, but it also can be funny. It depends. Why should someone with such a voice someone who is like, somebody kill me? I mean, hello? Anyway, when Alan Gregory sees her, how should I say it? You know what? Why should I be the only one who's suffering? Here, let me show you the highlight of this episode. It's Uh, just watch it. So yeah, a 7-year-old has sexual fantasies about an 80-year-old woman. Um, is that supposed to be entertaining? I think that I don't need to explain why this is wrong on so many levels. So let's just continue. So of course the principal is not interested, thankfully, in this little brat. And when she tells him that, yeah, he craps his pants and runs out of her office. So at home he whines because no one gets him. I wonder why, again. So we again see what a lovely person Richard is by ignoring his daughter and treating his husband like a bitch. And Alan runs crying to his room, and Richard, yeah, goes to school because Alan tells him that he's quitting school, and Julie tells him to go back to school, basically just to see him getting basically his own medicine. I can't blame her for wanting to see that brat suffer. I mean, her life is horrible. Then Alan's parents go to school, and with the help of the superintendent, yeah, they do their best to force the principal to be more friendly to Alan Gregory. Why? Why? Then we are introduced to a random black guy who gives Alan useless advices in every episode. There's no point to that character. He's basically a stereotype from all those movies with a white kid whose friend is a black man that gives them advice. So yeah, he's useless. Richard and Jeremy then come home and tell Alan that everything is now fine, that he can go back to school, but he doesn't want to. So Jeremy demands to have some time with Alan. Richard allows him to have 3 minutes with Alan, and so he tells him this. I'm just going to play the audio of this. I recommend everyone to sit down for this. You may be faint from the pure stupidity. So yeah, okay, let's play this.
5 years ago, I was a straight man. I had a wife, 2 kids, rock solid career. I was happier than I had ever been. And then one day, I had a meeting with a potential client. He was an older gay man, and we had a connection. A strictly platonic one, given my lifelong heterosexuality. But he wouldn't take no for an answer. He persisted. He followed me everywhere, gave me flowers, gifts. He believed deep within his heart that we were destined to be together.
And you started to believe it too?
The point is, Alan Gregory, that all the obstacles, me being straight as an arrow, my wife and kids, the restraining orders, they were irrelevant. In the end, he got what he wanted. Because you see, son...
Don't call me son.
Sorry about that. He didn't give up. If you want those kids to accept you, you just gotta convince them that they want that too.
Jeremy? Thanks.
You're welcome.
Excuse me for that. My brain stopped working for a second from hearing the... Next to this being perhaps the worst advice ever, what the fuck is this? Richard is forcing a straight guy to leave his family and become his partner, excuse me, his bitch? How, why? This is the single most idiotic thing that I have ever heard. Congratulations, show. Every time I get the feeling that you reached rock bottom, you somehow manage to get worse. So yeah, Alan returns to school and his bullies make fun of him crapping his pants, but he tells them that wasn't him, and the superintendent says in front of everyone that he was the one who crapped his pants. And it actually works. Apparently everyone is really stupid at that school. Yeah, so Alan hits on the principal one more time and the episode ends. What the fuck did I just watch? I refuse to believe that this is an actual show. It is so freaking bad. This episode is shit. No, it's explosive diarrhea. No, it's even worse. It's Brainerd diarrhea. Look it up if you don't know what that is. So anyway, I decided to watch 2 more episodes to see if this show could actually get worse. I didn't watch the second episode of the show. Let me just read the description of it. Alan Gregory attempts to make a sex tape with the principal. Meanwhile, Richard and Jeremy recruit some cool kids to hang out with Julie to make her seem cool. There's absolutely no fucking way that I will watch that episode. So, I decided to skip that episode, and also the third one actually. So, I watched episode 4. And there's nothing I can say about it because it is just boring. Nothing happened in the whole episode. We see that Richard doesn't really work in a company and that the people there just pretend that he's their boss, all because his father was important for the company. And one day he finds out that, yeah, people are just playing with him and his life falls apart. Oh my god. He's such a drama queen, I can't add that person. But in the end, he steps up and actually becomes the boss again. Well, not really. The people there just trick him again into thinking that he is actually important for the company. Oh, and with Alan Gregory, yeah. That cool kid or whatever, Joel or whatever his name is, gets sick, so Alan brings him his homework. For some reason, he also becomes popular at school because of that. So yeah, when Joel comes back, it turns out that all of his so-called friends don't miss him because Alan somehow replaced him. We have seen this plot in so many shows before, but it simply doesn't work for this show. There is no way that a rich, spoiled brat is going to replace a person like that. So Alan allows him to pour chocolate milk into his pants so that Joel can be again the cool kid at school. Did Alan have a change of heart? Not really. It's just that Joel is just like Alan, asshole, and Alan seems to be able to only relate to other assholes. So yeah, Alan goes back to his only friend, a boy who is useless and is there just because he's Alan's friend. That's basically all of his personality. Yeah, basically everything about him. And I haven't mentioned him before because there's just nothing to say about him. Oh, and Alan, of course, orders him to give him his pants, which the boy does. And so the episode ends. This show is just boring, boring, annoying at times, and boring, and unoriginal. And this episode is probably the least bad of all episodes. Hooray! So what hasn't been present in the first two episodes which I watched that the third one could have? How about racism? Yep! The next one is episode 5. So Alan opens the bathroom door and finds the cleaning lady there using the toilet. Both get scared and he fires her because she used the toilet. When Richard finds that out, he hires Jeremy as his mate. God. I mean, how can people even watch episodes like this to the end? I mean, after the first minute, you know that it's going to turn out really bad. Anyway, according to Alan, everyone who's Hispanic is a maid or a janitor, basically a lower class worker. And he also behaves like this in school, and he thinks that one of the children there is the school janitor. And yes, his teacher demands that he writes a 50-word essay on racism, and instead of doing that, he writes a school play. Of course, since Alan wrote it, you can guess that it is going to suck, and his teacher warns him, but he ignores her, and so he gets booed off stage. But the Hispanic student from before has a speech that is not part of the play, but the people who watch the play think it's a part of the play. And yeah, everybody then thinks that the play was great. So everything once again turns out great for Alan Gregory. Oh, and in the meantime, Richard annoys the crap out of Jeremy. And oh, there's no point even to describe what he does. Basically just roleplay. At one moment he's bitching about what a lousy job he does as a maid. Then he orders him to stop working as a maid and basically roleplay in a sex act as the maid and whatever. Also, what's up with the freaking stereotypes in this episode? I mean, it's supposed to have a message against racism and prejudice, but at the same time, everybody who's Hispanic is a freaking stereotype. I mean, this doesn't fit the fucking episode. Basically, the message of the fucking episode. Whatever. So yeah, after watching 3 episodes of Alan Gregory, all I can say is, it's the worst freaking show ever. It's not funny. It's not even unfunny. It's simply anti-funny. I don't know what kind of substances you have to take, but I simply can't see how anyone could laugh at this, how anyone could enjoy a show like this. It's mean-spirited. 2 characters are annoying douchebags that treat everyone like shit, and everyone else is the scapegoat and has the personality of a pet rock. There's absolutely nothing entertaining about this show, and basically just every character is just an annoying douchebag or incredibly boring or simply stupid. I mean, the show itself is just either boring or just shows the worst that you can get out of humanity. There's nothing redeeming about the show. Nothing. Yeah. And sorry, but I simply don't see how anyone could see characters that don't do anything bad and get mistreated all the time by douchebags. How is that funny? How? Why is this supposed to be funny? And it's not just this show. I mean, Family Guy does it all the time with Meg getting treated like shit by her parents for being Meg. I mean, seriously. Then we also have the voice actors in this show. All of them suck. You can clearly tell that they are just reading and basically being themselves, just talking like that. Don't even act really. I mean, nobody's actually doing their job, but can I blame them really? I mean, the characters are horrible. Horrible characters. Even if they did an excellent job, the show would still suck. And the animation is incredibly bland. The characters are barely moving, they barely have any expression in their faces, basically just... That's basically all you can get out of them. And occasionally one of them goes like this. Oh, and yeah, Alan Gregory himself. I cannot stand his baby face. He also kind of reminds me of Chucky. So, did I miss anything? I don't know. Frankly, I don't care. Just don't watch this show. It's horrible. It's definitely one of the worst shows ever. And thankfully it got cancelled after 7 episodes, which is about 100 too much. Avoid it like the Black Plague. I seriously don't even see who would willingly watch this show. It's basically, I don't know, this show just comes across as one of those that you would force people to watch when they get tortured, like they are tied to a chair and basically they are forced to watch this show in a Clockwork Orange style. Yeah. Oh, and my rating, 0. And even that is way too much.